Hi, and welcome to JavaScript. This is Christian. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the process of installing an IDE for this course. So if you want to go into the Unit 1 chapter, and let me just turn this off here. Okay, so each unit will have a prepare, practice, and apply folder. Okay, so your assignments are usually due inside the apply folder here. This is to prepare, meaning just like readings, any PowerPoint slides or any videos if you posted in here. The practice is basically what's in the book. So for example, in chapter 1, you will basically, if you want to practice these, which is really good practice. I'm not going to grade these for you as well, so they're not going to be counted against your grade, just for you to practice. So let's see if I have a textbook to show you what that looks like. So for example, in here, okay, and the unit 1, if you look at the, let's just say the first one is to create this plant list page at page 12 through 15. So in here on page 12 to 15, right, so you will start off from these exercise here. So you create a plants list page by going into the chapter folder. Okay, this is a folder called chapter inside the chapter 1, and there's a file called plants.htm. If you remember the other video that I had, you should have something like this. Okay, once you install the student data files, you see that inside the chapter 01 folder there's a chapter folder. Okay, that's this one here. And then inside this chapter folder you have the plants HTML, and then you have other CSS as well as images, and then of course any .js, which is JavaScript files you'll be creating. So that's why you need this student files to work on these assignments. So feel free to practice this exercise. Really good for you as well. Okay, and then let's go back here. So that's for that. Back out to the unit here, we have the prepare, and here is where you have the introduction to the chapter. Just kind of a brief synopsis of what that's about. And then this is where we're going to be installing the IDEs, or the integrated development environment. So as you can see here, I have a list of about a dozen or so different IDEs that you can use. All of these are open source, so these are free for you to use. I don't really, it doesn't really matter for me which version or which IDE you want to use. Use the one that you are most comfortable with. If you want to explore something new, then by all means do so. Okay. And then right below here we also list 2 commercial products. Dreamweaver by Adobe is a really powerful product as well. If you are familiar with Dreamweaver, that is the one. But here is another one called WebStorm by JetBrains. This is the one that I'll be using in this course, and also I'll be showing you how to download and install this IDE as well, just in case if you want to use it. If you don't use it, that's completely fine. Okay, so up here, some that I would recommend are probably Notepad++. It's really nice, but then maybe you want to go a little bit beyond that to something more like the Brackets by Adobe also. This is a much more advanced IDE than the Notepad++. It has some other features, including live updates, and of course the code completion, or the IntelliSense system, which is very similar to the Visual Studio. So something like that, this would be nice. Aptana Studio is also really nice. Same thing with Atom, and so on. Okay. The Text Wrangler is also a pretty good tool for Mac users. If you are a Mac user, you want to try that out. Okay. But I'm going to go over the WebStorm here, which is a really powerful program. It is not free. It's a commercial product. So if you want to use it for your business or for yourself, then you have to pay for a subscription fee. But they are kind enough to give free to students and faculty to use for a whole year, and so that's why I want to use this one here. And this is a list of the steps that you can set up the account. Just make sure you go to the correct link to register. Okay, so let's just do that now. Right, so you can click this link here to take you to the page. Okay, once you're on there, then you'll see that you have the link that says jetbrains.com/student. Okay, you want to make sure you are on that page. Okay, if you happen to just go jetbrains.com, it takes you to the home page. Okay, so on this page, some people might go here and then go here and then register. Here I already signed in, so you don't see it. But once I signed out, you see that it's going to ask you to sign up here, right? So don't do it from there. So from the home page, if you happen to be here, you want to go all the way down to the bottom of the site here, to the bottom link, and click this link that says Get Student Pack. Okay, so click that, and as you can see, it takes you right back to the /student page. Then from here, you can go ahead and then click Apply Now to register. Okay, so you will need to be either a student or faculty, and put your name here and then a valid email address. This must be a .edu address, otherwise it will not work. Okay, so put your email address, just check mark here, and then apply for the free products. And then once you do that, I'm not going to go whole process. I already registered, so I can't re-show you again. But click for that, and then you should receive an email from JetBrains to confirm your account. So in that email, just click confirm, or follow the blue link, and then it will take you right back to JetBrains to complete the process. So once you are back, it's going to ask you to supply a password. So put the password in there and then confirm it. Once you are done, then you are good to go. And once you are registered and confirmed, then you should have an account with them, and that will look something like this. Okay, it would say JetBrains Product Pack for Students. It gives you a license ID number, and then it gives you your name, and then this is for educational use only, and also gives you to validate through which the date. If it's not shown here, it just means that you haven't validated through your account yet, but it should be something similar. And these are all the products that you can download and use. Okay, so the one that we're using is the WebStorm, which is this one right here. Okay, so once you are here, you can go ahead and click here, or you can go to the main page and click under the tools, and then WebStorm, and go ahead and then click download. Even though it says 30-day free trial, that's fine. Once you click download, go ahead and install it. Okay, the install process should be straightforward. It may ask you to pick I forgot what it is exactly, but yeah, once you install, after you install, then we'll run it. Okay, so let's just go back here. So once you install, and then just launch the product, right? Run the product, and it's going to ask you to maybe like associate some other files with this program. When it asks that, basically asks you for like the .js, .html, and so on, whether or not if you want to associate those files to this program. What that means is if you put a check mark there, that means by default all your .js files or .html files will be open in this program. So if you want that, that's cool. If you don't want it, just don't check them up. Check those. Okay. And then it's going to ask you to authenticate your product. Otherwise, you have a 30-day free trial, right? So just make sure you enter the JetBrains account option, which is, I believe, is the first bullet point or first radio button to check. So check that, and then enter your email and address and your password you just signed with them to validate. Once that's been successful, then it will say you're good to go, and you will have a full year use that product for one full year for free. And then by next year, if you want to use it again, it's going to ask you again to re-authenticate the account. If you don't have an email address with the school anymore, then your license expired and you no longer can use it for free anymore. So that's all it is. Now, once you have installed, and I'm going to go here and type in WebStorm. So my version may not be the latest. I don't remember if it's the latest or not. It's 3.1. I think the latest is like 3.2 or something, which is not too far behind. So here it says I have until June 13. So I used this since last year. That means I have about a couple months to go. Let's see. As you can see, it takes me right into my projects folder already because I used it before. Okay, if it's the first time for you, you should not see this. You'll probably presented with a welcome screen. Okay, and then at the welcome screen, it should ask you to let's see. WebStorm install. Let me see if I can find the file. It looks something similar to this. This is on their JetBrains page. You'll see this welcome screen here. Okay, so if you don't want to see this again, just I think somewhere in here you can turn that off, so you don't have to see it each time. So what you want to do now is, if you have an existing project, you can click open. Otherwise, click to create new project and then create a new project. Okay, so why don't you go ahead and create a new project, and once you do that, then you will be asked to name a project. We'll do something similar to this. Just do that now. We'll give this screen here, and you give it a name. Let's just say my first WebStorm project. Okay, and this is what I want to save it. If not, move it around until you find a place you want to save it. Click create. Okay, if I have an existing project already open like this, it's going to ask you to whether I want or not I want to replace this window. Okay, that means it's gonna close this project automatically and replace it with a new one, very similar to Visual Studio. Or if you want to keep this current window and open a new instance of that, then you would choose the new window here. So this is very similar to Eclipse as well if you have used Eclipse before. So I'm going to go ahead and click the new window here, just so I want to show you both screens. I have two instances of WebStorm. Okay, this is the one just created. Is nothing there. This is an existing project I had earlier, has some files in there. Okay, so from here, then this is the project, your project folder. Yours may look similar to mine or may not look similar. I forgot to mention that in the a step before this, when you start using for the first time, it actually asks you to choose a theme. Whether you want to go with a dark theme or a lighter theme, that's entirely up to you. But I think you can change it somewhere in the window or the tools, and I don't remember where it is, but there is a place you can actually change the layout. So right now it's a default layout, which I think, yeah, I don't remember where, but somewhere I'm sure you can change between the two windows back and forth. Okay, so on here, and you have a project tab and a structure tab. If you don't see it, it's probably somewhere around here, and then you have a terminal, just like you know, a terminal like JavaScript, I mean Visual Studio and so on. And then you have something here on the top, or you don't have. So notice that there's no tools, nothing up here. You can go into the view and just turn on this toolbar. Okay, you see that it has some toolbars here, and also some other windows here. Play with it, explore, so you can see what they look like. Okay, you can hide or float some of these windows as well, and so if you want to create a file, so this is your project. Okay, you can, because it's a project, you can create directories and files within here, and just don't mess with this external libraries. It needs that, just like in Eclipse you have the external libraries for your Java programs as well. Let's just say I want to create a new project, a new file. You just click here to right click. Okay, you can have a new, and then you have all these options here. So most of the time you'll be doing either a directory, a blank file, or an HTML file, CSS, or JavaScript. So mostly these 4 or 5 up here. Okay, we're not going to do any of these other stuff down here, but of course feel free to explore, right? Actually, I want to open this HTML file. Okay, it's going to ask you for a name, so I'm just calling index.html. If you don't supply the extension, I think it will do that automatically for you also. And then what kind of file is this going to be? And you can see that it's selected the HTML5 as a default, and you have two other options in here. So leave that as default. Click OK, and you are presented with a page that already filled in with all the required tags for an HTML5 document. Okay, so this is pretty cool, and there are actually ways you can actually modify the template as well, so you can have more stuff or less stuff in here. But this is a default template. And if you expand the folder here, you see this is the index file, and that's right here, and it's already ready to go, right? So pretty cool. And it has a code completion, so that means if I type in, let's just say H1, okay, you see that it completes that tag for me automatically. You close it. If I change this to H2, it also changes that for me automatically too. Now if I want to change the font size on my screen here, so usually if you set this up, if you configure it correctly, I'll show you how to do that. I can press my control key and then roll my mouse ball. Okay, so you can see I can change the size on my screen so I can see them. Alright, so let's just say hello and save. And if you want to run this file, okay, you don't want to go up here and click the run up here. This is for something else. This is for like debugging purposes, which is really useful, but we're not going to do that in this course. Maybe not until later in the course. I'll see if you can use that. But for now, if you want to run this file, you just basically go up here to the right, and you see there's a list of icons up here. These are your browsers, right? You can run in any of these browsers that are installed on your machine. So for example, if you want to run on the Chrome window, it's on a different screen, so I'm going to bring that back in here. So here is the file, okay, and here's the hello, and notice it uses something called localhost with a colon followed by a port number 3362342. This is the port that WebStorm uses, and then so it just I'm sure you can set this up, or you can change it to, but by default that's the port number. So you use a server that is, you know, hosted within the WebStorm, which is kind of nice because later on when we write some code, you need to have some type of a server to run some code in the background. That's why WebStorm is gives you that capability. Same thing with like brackets also does too, along with Visual Studio and so on. But some do not. For example, like you know, Notepad++ doesn't give you this. This is running from within the local server. Okay. Otherwise, you have to go out to your external file and find where you store your project is, and then you can double-click your index file, and you can open directly from there on the browser, and it will say not localhost, but it will say file, and then the directory to that file name. Okay. So this is how you run your program. Okay, if you make changes, go back and refresh, and keep it running. If you open it in another browser, just click here again. Right? And this is how you do it. And if you want to create a directory or folder, just again right click and new folder, and maybe I'm going to call this one Unit 1, right? And then I can, you know, drag and drop. I'm going to put this inside here. Okay. Let's cancel this. I'm going to go inside Unit 1, and I'm going to create another folder. Maybe I'll call it the JS folder for the JavaScript directory. Okay, and you can create another folder maybe here for the CSS. So this is how you want to organize your directories. Okay, and then images for images. And then in here I can create my index files in here. So for example, let's just go back up to the main directory here and create another file, another index HTML file. We'll call this about.html. Okay, so this is about page. Let's just say about here, and let's just say that here on this body tag I want to create a link, okay, to the index page, right? Index here, and then let's just say home, right? So if I save this, if I run this file, okay, so back here I have the home. Let me size that. If I click that, it goes to the index page, and where's that, right? So that's pretty cool. Now let's just say I save this, both of this file, and then I decided that, oh, I want to move the index file, okay, to the Unit 1 folder. Okay, if I do that, it asks me whether I want to search all my project here, and then I can do that, search a reference, and then replace all these links that is linked to this index page, and then it will change that for me automatically or something, right? So in this case, say OK, and then now I move the index inside the Unit 1 folder. But if you look inside the About page, you notice that it automatically adds the Unit 1 folder for me. Okay, it was like this before. If it's like this, you'll see that if I refresh and then load my browser, you'll see that the link will not work, right? Because it's thinking that it's in the same directory as before, right? So what that does is once you move things around, it automatically asks you whether you want to you want the system to go ahead and then change all the links to what that new file is going to be moved to. It does that for you very nicely, and this is very, very, very useful. And then now if I go back and then refresh my page, you'll see that it takes me right into the correct location. Okay, so it saves you a lot of headaches. It's really nice. And if I move back in here, again, it does the same thing. If I save yes, if you notice that it removes that automatically too, right? So this is pretty nice. Okay, so that's about it. And then here you can go ahead and then add your script in here. It has the intelligence or the completion. For example, if I type in here, if I type in H, it tells me all the available tags for that, right? If I type in S, span, right? And if I do a space bar, it tells you all the different attributes I can use for this tag. So all these area, and then the class, right? All the ID and so on. So it's very, very useful. Okay, so that's that. Now, if you want to, zoom in, zoom or resize the font here with the wheel, then you want to go into the setup place. So go into the file and settings. Okay, the appearance. You have all these different tabs on the left here. You basically want to deal with the appearance and then the editor, or mainly just those two. Okay, so the appearance, I mean, feel free to play with this. It's just, show the layout of your information of your page. The menu bar, if you want to, tweak these as well, move this around, you can do that. Go click here and then, move up and down or remove. Or just be careful what you do here. Okay, the systems. I think I probably just save the default for these appearance here. So in the editor part is more interesting. So under the general tab, you see that here is the button for that. So if it's unchecked, it's probably came with unchecked as default. So check this so that you can zoom with the Control plus the mouse wheel. Okay, this enable drag and drop functionality is also kind of neat. If you turn this off, you can drag things around. I'll show you what that means in a minute. You also want to, let's see, all these are okay here. If you go into the font, if you want to change the font size, default size, you can do that here. Color scheme, again, play with these if you want to change colors. Okay, let's just see. I think under the general, the editors tab, there's somewhere I want to show you. Where is that? Okay, under the general, you see, you expand that. Under the appearance, okay, you want to make sure that you have the showed hard wrap guide. That is a guide on the right side of your file. So you'll see that I don't have it because I zoomed in. Also, you want to show the line numbers. Okay, so those are the numbers here. If you turn that off, for example, and then you won't see it. Okay, so it's always good to turn that on for coders. Okay, you can also use some of these other features here. Okay, let's just see. So I got that done, and I want to show you what this drag and drop means. Let's just say I turn this off. Okay, I turn that off for now. I click apply and close this. All right. If I type in some file, so let's just say I type in, span, well, P, and then this is a paragraph. Okay. And let's just say that I want to move this around. Of course, you can just highlight this, right? You can do a Control C to copy it, or right click and then copy it, right? And then go up here and then paste it here, right? Which is fine. Another quick way is you can, highlight this and basically just drag it and put it somewhere else. So notice that I can't do it here. If I highlight it, if I click in here and try to move it around, it won't let me do it. Okay, that's all it does. That's all it wants you to do. So if you go back here again, and then if you use that, enable drag and drop, apply, okay, and then now watch, I can highlight this, I can move this around and drag it here, move it here. I can drag a bunch of code and then move it elsewhere. Okay, so that's all it does. It's really kind of nice. It's very similar to Microsoft Word. Okay, so I think that's all I want to show you for now. If there's anything else that I missed, I will address it later. If you have any issues, any problems with this IDE, please let me know. But in the coming weeks, as we start coding, you'll see that you'll be learning a few more tricks in this IDE. So I hope you like it. If you have any questions, shoot me an email or put a comment here, and I'll be more than happy to respond. Thank you.